Hi everyone, my name is Meredith, one of the Husqvarna Viking educators, and it is time for another block of the month, creating our Sweet Dreams Quilt block quilt that we have right here. So let's go through, let me show you what we're going to do for May, and then we'll go through what we've already created and so forth, because we're almost halfway through the year. So for May, we are going to be, I actually have here, I've got this one's easier to see. We are actually going to be doing the Dresden Plate Block. I actually really enjoy Dresden plates. I feel like either you really enjoy them or you don't, but I love Dresden plates. I like doing applique and things like that, so I think that's why I enjoy it so much. So that's what we're going to be making today. But let's go through what we've already sewn together and created, because we're moving along. So the first month of January, we did our rail fence block. So this is our long rail fence here, and we did floating stitches with it. This is the large rail fence right here. And then this was the motif one where we created our own fabric right here. And then for February, we did the, I call them flying geese. I don't have all of my instructions over here for all of them. I forget, actually, let me see. I think I do. I want to make sure I'm calling these the right things. That way you know. So yes, so flying geese. So we have one long one right here, long one. And then we have a shorter one here. So this is what we did in February, the two flying geese. And then we also did this one, and this one's called the arrowhead, I think is what this one's called. I'm trying to find it on my instructions. We did this one here, and this one's called the arrowhead one. So this is what we did for February. And then in March, we did it is the friendship and the double friendship. So there was this one here, our big block with our little 4 patch in the corners. And then this long one here. So this is the friendship one, and then the bigger one was the double friendship. So this is what we did in March. And then in April, it was National Serger Month. So we actually sewed our block together using a serger. And this one is very large. This one is called which one? Let me make sure I'm showing it. This is the stitch motif and 9 patch one. So we didn't do anything fancy or anything with this one, but we did sew it together using our serger. So massive block here. So that is what we have done so far in the first 4 months of the year. And now we're going to move on to May, where we are doing our Dresden plate. So let's get to it. And if you've been following along, you will know that in the past, I have changed the size, the cuts of a lot of things. And before I started this, I was like, oh, let me go make sure that I've, got the right measurements to tell everybody. And I was like, wait, I didn't actually change any of the sizes of any of the cuts for this. So we're just going to get to it. This one's super simple this month. It is just repetitive because it is a Dresden plate. So for this one, let me get the instructions out to show you. So here's our instruction sheet here, and we're making 2 of these Dresden plates. So if you look back at what our finished quilt's going to be, our 2 Dresden plates are going to be right here. You can make them the same as they did, or I'm actually making them just with different fabrics. So it's just a little bit different. So we're going to make 2 of them, and here's the instructions for 2 blocks right there, the cut instructions. So again, you can find these instructions. They will be in the link in the description below. You can find them on the Creative 8 website. They're in not multiple places, but you can access it multiple ways. So we are going to get 2 of these background pieces. So it's this white fabric right here, and it's going to be this piece. It's going to be 14 by 14. Our finished block is not going to be 14. Our finished block sewn is actually 12 inches, but we want to have that centered when we applique it, and then we'll cut our block down. So 2 white pieces, 14 by 14. And I've actually already made 1 block because, you don't need to watch me make 2. So I've already made 1 right here and cut it down to size. So 2 of those. Then we are going to have 40 assorted rectangular blades. So in your instructions, you are going to have 2 templates to cut out. So I have them cut out here. In the instructions, they tell you that you can trace them so that you still have these, but I just went ahead and cut them. For the Dresden plate, I actually did go ahead and cut it on template plastic so that it was a little bit more durable. So I've got that here, and then here's my circle for the middle. So we need 40 of these. We need 10 of one color and 10 of another for each. So for this one, I did this pink and this blue. And for my other one, I'm going to do a blue and a yellow. So I've already cut some of them. I just wanted to have half of it ready to go beforehand. Then we're going to have a lightweight interfacing. So we need 2 of these 4.5 by 4.5, and it's fusible on one side and not on the other. And you're going to see that's how we're going to turn for our center circle here. And then it doesn't have, it says this, it doesn't say to cut this, like what size. So I actually cut my square that we're going to sew our interfacing to the same size at 4.5 by 4.5. So just keep that in mind, that you will want that centerpiece to be the same as this, which is larger than your template circle when we're sewing. And you'll see why in a minute when we get to that. And then we're going to want 2 tearaway pieces, 12 by 12, and that's going to go behind our fabric when we sew on our Dresden plate. You want to have that stabilizer there. I didn't use tearaway. I used a lightweight interfacing. It's not fusible, just a lightweight no-show mesh, and it's going to work just fine as well. You can use a tearaway, that's no problem. So this is what you're going to need to create 2 blocks. If you're just making 1 block to practice or to play with, here's your instructions for that. So let's get to it. The first thing we needed to do is cut our Dresden plates. So I've already done one section here, and I'm going to do my next one here. So instead of just manually placing this on my yardage of fabric or on my fat quarter, because we're using fat quarters, I went ahead and cut a strip. So this template piece is 3.5 long right here. It's kind of hard to see on my gray, but it is 3.5 long. So I cut 2 strips 3.5 inches wide. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my template piece on here, and then we can just cut. And the reason I like to use the plastic template is because I am not the straightest cutter. That is one of my flaws with quilting. I'm not the straightest, and so I would end up like slicing off a sliver of this paper every time. So we're not going to do that. But once you get this first part cut, let's see. And when you use the template plastic, you can accidentally roll over it, and because it's thick enough, you're not necessarily going to cut it. So once you cut that first piece, you're at the right angle right here that you need. You just turn your template over, line it up, and then you just cut the next side just like that, and then flip it over and continue this process. So again, you need 20 total of these plates. They can be all the same color. They can be 2 of the same color. I wouldn't do 3 because the pattern won't work because it's an even number. So if you're going to do more than 2 colors, I would do 2 or 4 if you're going to do it that way. Or just do them all the same and do 2 different blocks, whatever you would like to do. So I'm going to cut the rest of these. I'm going to speed up my video now, and then I will show you the rest when we get done cutting these. All right, and there we go. So I have this little bit of sliver extra. I think I actually have 11 of these. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I do have 1 extra, so that's okay. We can just set that aside. And that's what I had left for my blue part too. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sew all of these together like this. So I'm going to fold this in half, and we're going to sew along this long edge. I'm folding this in half, right sides are touching, and we're going to sew 1/4 inch right there. So let's go over to our machine and start doing that right there. So I have my 1/4 inch presser foot on, and I'm just going to chain piece all of these together. Very simple and easy. And I like to sew from the folded side versus the opening side, just that way it doesn't shift on me. So we're going to start sewing, and then we want to stop with our needle in the down position, and then we're just going to continue our pieces just like this. So I'm going to sew all of these together and speed that up for you because you don't want to watch me do that in real time. It doesn't take too long, but we're going to speed this up, and then I will be back and we'll show you our next step. All right, and there we have our long train of Dresden plates. So we are going to separate all of these, and I have a fun little tool, but I didn't, of course, bring it over here with me. That makes it really easy to cut all of these, but we're just going to manually do it here. So we're going to separate all of these little guys. So you should have 20 total, 10 of each, or whatever variation that you decided, pattern you decided to do. So you just snip all of these here, not cut my fingers at the same time. All right. And then we are going to open them up. So what we're going to do is I like to take my thumb right in that little, the little V part right there, and then just flip it like that. And then I'll use my pointer finger to push it out. Or if you have a stylus or a stiletto like this, you can then carefully push that out just a little bit more like that. And you're going to end up with your little Dresden plate just like this. So let's flip all of these guys out. And then I'm actually going to go press them too. I like to just have good, clean edges right here. So then we're going to press them as well. But let's go ahead and turn all of these right side out, and then we will sew them all together. Very simple and easy. Okay, so we have all of those turned right side out. I'm going to go get my iron, and we're going to press them all so that I know that they're even, and they're not going to shift on me and be sewn like this at a weird angle or anything like that. So we want to make sure that they're all even and pressed. So I will be right back with my iron, and we'll get to pressing those. Okay, so I went and I plugged in my little iron, and I'm going to show it to you while it warms up. And we're going to get all of our little Dresden plates pressed and ready to be sewn together. So this is our Singer Memento mini press. And if you have not seen this or been introduced to it, it is one of my favorite things that we sell. Genuinely, I really enjoy this. This was made for our Singer Memento to be used with heat transfer vinyl, stuff like that. But I actually take it with me on retreat very often when I go. And it's my little side iron, or if I'm sewing and I'm doing a bunch of smaller blocks that I need to press often, I will have it in my little side table ready to be used versus having my big bulky iron out. So you can go all the way from 250, I think it is, all the way up to 400 or 450, pretty high there. Let's see, so 250 up to 400, and you can change it in 10-degree increments. So I'm going to put this just at 350, and you can set a timer too. For what we're doing, we don't need to set a timer, but if you were using it for heat transfer vinyl, things like that, you could definitely set the timer there. That's what I've used it for as well. It also comes with this little tray to set it on so that you're not burning everything below it and whatnot. So I love this little guy. They're very affordable. Go check them out if you are looking for a good little travel iron to take with you.